Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's talk about your case. So you are in prison. How old are you right now, Robert?
I'm 24.
And how long have you been in prison?
I've including jail time, I've been in for almost 6 years now.
And you have a life sentence with no parole, correct?
Yeah, I have 5 lives without parole plus 4 lives with parole, all running consecutive.
So the chances of you getting out, unless there's a miracle, you're probably not going to get out, right?
Exactly, yeah.
How do you deal with that? How do you have to come to terms with that? Do you have to settle with that? Like this is going to be your reality for the rest of your life?
Well, I mean, I'm pretty good at adapting to situations. When I was younger, all I really wanted was one room that I could do everything in and live in all the time, and now I have it. So it's actually been really easy for me in prison. I guess I spend a lot of time inside my head, and so I'm not really worried about it. But, you know, as far as thinking of it as punishment, I would have considered the death penalty punishment. I don't consider this punishment. I consider it a safety precaution, you know, because I'm not a functioning member of society. Mm-hmm. So I'm okay with it, though. I try not to think about it too much. There was this OG who died recently. He'd been in for 50 years. And he told me, just don't think about it. Otherwise, they'll drive you up the wall.
Drive you crazy, right?
Yeah.
So I talk a lot about warning signs, and I'm really into trying to stop teen violence, and I talk a lot about the causes, the triggers, and the things. And you and I have chatted before, and you said there were some things that happened in your life that were warning signs, but your parents didn't take them serious. What were a couple of those incidents that happened, and what should have been a warning sign?
I mean, when I was younger, I never looked up to the people who committed mass murders or serial killers or anything, but I tried to write stories about them, and it was supposed to be from a point of view that these people are really fucked up and evil, but I was just, I wrote a book called How to Shoot Up Your School and Get Away With It when I was like 13. Mm-hmm. And I showed it to my parents, and they were like, no, you need to get rid of this. This is wrong. And they were concerned that the police would find it and I'd get put on some kind of watch list. Mm-hmm. I used to write songs and poetry that were really dark and talked about murder and stuff like that, killing people, killing myself. And I went through what I thought was an emo phase where I was studying myself. Mm-hmm. And I guess I didn't know that I wasn't doing it for the normal reasons a normal teenager would, because I got a serrated blade. I would be sawing at my skin, and apparently that's not normal.
So you are cutting yourself. You told me before you were a fan of ICP, that you were like a juggalo. You're writing stories about murder. You're writing stories about school shootings. These are all warning signs that I teach. None of this was taken serious, though. Nobody took it like it was serious, did they?
I think that this is probably the worst part for me is I think my parents knew by the time they figured out I was buying body armor and stuff. Mm-hmm. They were asking my brothers if I had bought any guns. Mm-hmm. They tried to talk to me about it, but I'd get real hostile with them, and so I think they knew something was going to happen. I just don't think they thought it was going to be them.
Did you ever threaten to kill anybody? Because that's a big warning sign. Did you ever say to your parents, I'm going to kill you? No. My parents would not have allowed that. Okay.
That would have, they would have made my life a living hell if I had done that. But when I was a later teenager, I had friends, if they were being bullied or something, mm-hmm. I'd be like, look, man, you want me to kill this person? I wanted to really badly. I was serious. And so I wanted to, but not my parents.
That's a warning sign as well. So on July 22nd, 2015, you and your younger brother, it seems like you guys had a plan to maybe carry out a school shooting or a mass murder. Was that one of your fantasies before you did this crime? Were you thinking about being a school shooter or mass murder, breaking the Columbine record? Talk to us about that.
Yeah. I was not really intending for my family to get killed at first, and they just kind of became the first step in this really complicated plot that I was putting together on how I can kill as many people as possible and like set records and just horrify millions of people. And my idea was I was going to like pick restaurants and schools and movie theaters, go in, shoot it up, then get back in our family vehicle and drive away and become like a serial mass murderer, because I had never heard that before. So that's what I was trying to do.
But why did you never do that? Like, why did you start with your family? I have a hard time dealing with feelings of resentment towards my parents, and so I had kind of a dysfunctional family, and it got to the point where my morals were so gone, and I was so twisted on this idea of killing people that I was like, I'm going to start right here, and they're going to be the first ones. I'm going to find out what I'm made of, and I'm going to kill them. And so, it wasn't even about the kids. They were just innocent bystanders. I couldn't stop myself once I had the bloodlust. Some pictures that came out of you guys, like it might have been like the arrest, like at the arrest, and it looked like maybe they tracked you down with canines or something. You looked like you had maybe mud on your face. Do you remember that?
We were in the woods.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You were in the woods, right?
Yeah, behind our house, and I was trying to get to, can't remember which river it was. I think it was the Arkansas River. I was going to try to double back to the road, but we never made it that far. I was too tired, so I just laid down in the dirt, and fell asleep until the canines found us. And then when they found us, they stick the canine on my brother, and they pushed my face into the dirt. So I guess that's probably how it got on my face.
So who died that day?
I've heard stories that maybe one of my brothers and maybe my mom had survived for a little bit longer, into the next day. But by the morning of July 23rd, my parents, two of my brothers, and my sister were dead.
So David, 52, your father. April, 44, your mother. Daniel, 12, your brother. Christopher, 7, your brother. And Victoria, 5, your sister.
No, Christopher wasn't 7. He was 10.
He was 10. Okay, that's incorrect. And Crystal, your sister, was stabbed and her throat was cut and she survived.
Yes.
And then you had a 2-year-old sister who you just... The story says you forgot about her, but I think you decided to let her live, right?
Yeah, I did. I was trying to figure out, because I didn't expect to be caught, I was trying to figure out whether I should leave her with a neighbor, but then I didn't want them coming over to our house to see why she was there, if they recognized her.
Gotcha.
Something about leaving her at a police station. I just didn't know what to do.
You thought you'd initially get away with it, but one of your siblings called the police from like a bathroom, and that's why they were there.
Yes. And one of the things that they were trying to explain to me, my brother's attorney was trying to explain to me, was that he said it sounded like my brother saw me or something and ran away from the phone. And I tried to say, no, that was the phone moving away from him. But the more I think about it, I think, I think him and my brother Michael, Daniel and my brother Michael, had called the police, and they were standing in the kitchen. And when I came back into the house, Michael was still standing there with the phone. My brother Daniel ran and hid, and when I started coming towards him, Michael threw the phone on the ground and smashed it to pieces.
So your dad was stabbed 28 times. Your mom 48 times. But it said your mom also was killed by blunt force trauma. What does that mean? Was she beaten or just stabbed?
No, I don't.
Just stabbed, right?
I don't see how there could be any blunt force trauma.
Yeah, that's what it says. I'm reading just a report on the internet. Mostly everybody was stabbed at least 20 times. Did anybody talk to you during this, Robert? Were any of your relatives saying, don't do this? Were they screaming? Were they fighting back? What was the response of the victims?
Yeah, they were. There was a lot of screaming and a lot of begging for me to stop.
Mm-hmm. And I think you said something about it when you're doing this. When you see in the movies, if somebody gets stabbed, they fall down and die. In real life, it doesn't work like that, does it?
No, it doesn't. And that's probably the worst part about it, was that they didn't die right away. And I don't know how I continued once I started, but it was even scary for me, and all I wanted was for them to just stop screaming.
Do you sometimes, laying in your bed at night, do you sometimes think about that?
I think about it when I'm awake. I think about it in my dreams. I think about them every single day, but I try not to think about what I did. I try to think about the good memories.
Right.
And then when I'm really punishing myself, I think about what kind of lives they could have led if I hadn't killed them.
Mm-hmm. Are you remorseful for your crimes?
Yes. There was this song that goes, I have watched the world die. All I know now is regret. And that is so true for me.
What is it like in the midst of stabbing someone? Do they go to the ground? Do you cut your hands? I mean, just explain that. Just what is that like?
I don't really think that's important.
Okay. What would you like to say to the world now? I mean, the media's got all these reports about you, whether they're true or not, but now you've had some time to reflect on this. You're incarcerated. What would you like to say to the world, to parents, to troubled kids who are thinking about following you in your footsteps? What would you like to say to them?
Right. I got to prison, and I was not aware that I was traumatized by what I did, but apparently I was, and it took me a long time to realize why I was having so many troubles functioning and, continuing with my life. I would not want anyone to have to deal with what I'm going through right now. It's like God's punishment for me, and there's no joy to it. There's nothing badass about it. It's really easy to kill someone. There's nothing great about it. But once they're dead, you have to deal with it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, the consequences never go away. How could we have stopped you, Robert? What could we have done? What could have been done to stop all this? Like, what should your parents have taken you to counseling? Should a friend have stepped up and, what would have been helpful?
There were so many things that could have stopped me. My parents could have sent me to a mental health facility. They could have called the police once I was too old for them to legally do anything but call the police. They should have. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be legal for anyone who doesn't have a job to buy 3,000 rounds of ammunition and 3 guns. It shouldn't be legal for someone to buy body armor off the internet in mass. If somebody on Facebook tells you that they're planning to kill someone, you should call the police. Mm-hmm. I mean, mm-hmm. There were so many opportunities to stop me, and no one did anything. But the worst part is, when you're in that kind of mindset, you're not entirely insane, and you can cover for yourself, at least for a little while, until you get tired of the game and you just snap.
Wow. And you bought guns and ammo. Why didn't you use guns in this crime?
I didn't have the guns. They were at the Broken-Эрроу gun shop. There's this guy named Pat who had been calling and asking about them. Okay. And he said I could come pick them up the next day. And so that's what I was going to do. The ammunition arrived the following morning after I was arrested, and the guns were waiting for me at the shop. Wow.
So you decided not to wait for the ammunition and guns. Why is that?
Like I said, I got tired of the facade, trying to act like I was still living a normal life. Yeah. I couldn't even eat. Hold on. What is? No, I'm good.
So you were 18 and your brother was 16. He has a life sentence with parole, right? Sounds like he's dealing with someone in the prison.
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
Robert Bevera.
Власти назвали убийство худшим уголовным преступлением в истории Брокен-Эрроу. Братьям были предъявлены обвинения по 5 пунктам обвинения в убийстве первой степени и по 1 пункту обвинения в нападении и нанесении побоев с намерением убить. 25 июля власти объявили, что Майклу Беверу будет предъявлено обвинение как взрослому. Осуждение за убийство первой степени влечет за собой наказание в виде пожизненного заключения или смертной казни. Однако окружной прокурор округа Талса заявил, что Майкл Бевер будет освобожден от смертного приговора, поскольку на момент убийства семьи ему не было 18 лет. Адвокат Роберта Бевера Марк Хендриксон сказал: «Это трагедия неизмеримых масштабов, однако нашему клиенту, вероятно, будет легче жить в исправительном учреждении, нежели чем дома». Окружной прокурор округа Талса Стив Консвеллер был полон решимости довести дело до смертного приговора, но, услышав просьбу выжившего подростка посадить Роберта в тюрьму на всю жизнь, он передумал. Определяющим фактором для меня было то, что у меня есть выжившая девочка-подросток и малыш, и эти дети заслуживают многого, и я не собираюсь обременять их реальностью о смертной казни. Братья предстали перед судом 3 августа. Они не признали себя виновными в предъявленных им обвинениях. Предварительное слушание было назначено на 28 октября. Затем оно несколько раз было перенесено на другие даты. В конце концов, Роберт Бевер признал себя виновным по всем пунктам обвинения и был приговорен к пожизненному заключению без возможности условно-досрочного освобождения. Суд над Майклом Бевером начался 16 апреля 2018 года, и 9 августа того же года он был приговорен к пожизненному заключению, но с возможностью условно-досрочного освобождения.